Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Alex Cuesta Daily Show. We have made it back. We have kicked, we have clawed, we have scratched our way back to making shows. Yesterday was the Alex Cuesta Show with my brother David. Today, April 1st, 2022, April Fool's Day. We are back. We're making another daily show and hopefully a long line of many to come in the future again. Before we get into anything fun, like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on Spotify and iTunes, and also spread this word of mouth if you enjoy the show. Go find us on socials anywhere. The Alex Cuesta Show. Just go search it. We should be there. And like I said, it is April Fool's Day, but it is no joke. This show is actually happening. We are actually here, and we are ready to enjoy the fun of the show. Anyone that listened yesterday is going to know that this is not going to be your typical show. As you have come to know it on the daily shows, it is going to be a little more varied. There's going to be a little more different type of talk. It may not be just me talking at you with articles. That will happen on occasion if I feel it's necessary to do it on an article, but I don't think it's always going to be that way. It's going to be a lot more me just spreading my opinions, spreading my love to things, my hate to things, and hopefully you guys like the new format and it'll be fun. If not, tell me it sucks. Go back to the old stuff. I'll keep depressing myself with politics for you. But we're going to jump right into the fun. Biden COVID tracker. We are doing it. April Fool's Day, April 1st, 2022 is no joke still. There are still cases going on. There are still deaths happening. And the Biden regime has still yet to drop this down to an endemic. So until he does, he will be held accountable on the show. So here we are, cases at 80,103,661. That's an uptick of 84,533 from yesterday. And deaths, we are at 988,624. That's an uptick in 1,976 deaths. So we have seen an uptick in both. I know it's been a while. I haven't been giving you all the numbers every day because I didn't record a whole ton last week. Because again, if you listened yesterday, battled through a stomach bug, went through my whole family, finally healthy and ready to go. But the numbers seem to be coming back on an uptick. Now, it's not anything drastic. It's not something where you need to give any sort of credence to any moron saying, we need to go lockdowns. We need to do more vaccine mandates. We need to mask up again. None of that needed to happen in the first place. So it never needs to happen again. Anyone that says that to you, just look at them funny. Don't even acknowledge them. Don't even say anything. Just stare at them like the idiots they are, because they don't deserve to be spoken to. We need to never go back to that shit again. But we do need to pay attention. It's a minor uptick. There is a reason. It's a virus. It's a smart virus. It's going to continue to do what it wants. And I think it's been acknowledged early on that COVID is going to be here to stay. Now, there were talks about a fourth booster coming out, yada, yada. It is out. You can get it. Biden did his whole entire weird ass fourth booster thing on a conference, press conference the other day, where he flat out says, I don't even know what I'm doing here. So the dementia kicked in, but he kicked right back in his slow motion self. And remembered he had to get the shot. So he took off his jacket, yada, yada. If you want to get the shot, go get it. Same as always. If you feel more safe getting your pre-treatment, go get it, because it's not a vaccine. Stop telling yourself it's a vaccine. But if you feel very comfortable getting this pre-treatment, which does reduce the chances of going into the hospital, does reduce the chances of death, it does have a much higher risk factor than any other massive medical procedure, or I guess procedure, because you're going to get stuck in you, but drug has had. The reports on it have been insane. It has had a lot of adverse effects. So, and they try to hide that, but it is just, the proof is in the pudding. You can look them up. I think it's the VAERS reports. It was losing me what it was called, but the VAERS reports, you can go look all that stuff up. There's a lot of adverse effects, but if you feel more comfortable getting it, if you think you're going to be safer, then go get it. No one's stopping you. All right. So we're going to jump into some stuff. We're going to talk right away. Right now, World Cup draw happened today. Now, if you're not a soccer fan, skip ahead, but I am. The World Cup draw happened today in Qatar. The big news is that the United States got in on a very lackluster performance against Costa Rica. I watched it. I was actually a little sickened by all the celebrating. Not the team. The team deserved to pop some champagne. They worked hard. A lot of young guys, a new generation of soccer players being led by Christian Pulisic coming in to try and make a name for themselves. The Clint Dempseys, your overrated Landon Donovan, Josie Altidore, they're all gone. Now you have the new blood. You have your when Weston McKennie is back and healthy, he's here. You, like I mentioned, Christian Pulisic. You have your Giovanni Reyna, your those types of guys who are going to lead into the next generation. So this is a big deal. A lot of these guys, some of the young ones weren't there, but a lot of these guys were on the roster that missed out on the 2018 World Cup. It's been 8 years. So getting into the World Cup is a big deal. It's a big story. The way they got in sucked. The 2-0 loss to Costa Rica in Costa Rica. I get it. United States is a terrible track record in Costa Rica. But until we are happy, until these types of things make us unhappy, where we're not dominating the CONCACAF, where we're not happy to just get in on third behind Mexico and Canada, there's no excuse why the United States, with how many people we have, how much talent we have, that we shouldn't be dominating CONCACAF soccer, that we should be on top of that table, expected every single turn. So until that happens, until we stop being happy with just getting in on third, we are never going to be an international powerhouse. And the focus has turned to soccer a lot more. A lot more kids are getting back into it. There's more kids trying that want to go play soccer. The MLS is making big leaps. They're spending money because they're making money. There's a lot more interest. So I made predictions before that I think that soccer will be the third most watched, most liked sport in the country. And I think I made this prediction 2 years ago. So maybe now in the next 8 years, that it is going to be bigger than baseball. It is going to be bigger than hockey. I know people are like, oh, fucking baseball is America's pastime. Are you insane? Baseball's losing fans left and right. Their fans are old. They're trying to do these little tweaks, and I'm going to talk baseball later in the show. They're trying to do these little tweaks, but I don't know if it's going to be enough to keep young fans. Yes, there are young fans that grew up watching it with their parents or picked it up and loved the game. And of course, there's always going to be that. There's always going to be interest in baseball in America. I'm not saying it's going away, but I'm just saying the enthusiasm is not there like it used to be, even when I was younger. There's a lot of communities that don't play baseball anymore. It is a more expensive sport than it ever was, especially if you want to do travel AAU ball. So it's going to be tough for baseball to hold on. Hockey will always have its niche group, but it's never going to explode in popularity. People like hockey. Hockey's fun as shit to watch. I tell anyone to go watch a hockey game live. It's amazing. But in America, it's never going to be America's biggest sport. Basketball has the TV deals. It has a lot of star power. I don't think the NBA is going anywhere. The NFL does its best to try and lose viewers, but for whatever reason, we love football because it's fucking fantastic. But soccer is edging up. It's MLS is getting better. It's not going to be before long that MLS games are actually going to be talked about. People think I'm crazy because a lot of people are like, oh, soccer's for faggots. It's foot fairies. It's gay. It's a stupid sport. It's the biggest sport on the planet for a reason. For a reason. There are countries that are super dedicated to soccer. America's not one of them yet, but we're getting there. We are. And you could see when the World Cup comes around, when America's in, the frenzy and the fervor that just grows and grows constantly. So you're certainly going to see it. That's my prediction. Now I think it's an 8-year out prediction, and I'm not like climate change people. I'm not going to continue to move it. So if I'm wrong in 8 years, I'll be wrong in 8 years. If it's not there, I'm not going to say, well, due to new factors, and I'm not going to call it that it's the third most popular. I'm going to say that it's not the second, just to do semantics because they love to do that. But I am saying it will end up being the third most popular sport in the country in about 3 years. Anyway, what I want to talk about with soccer, the World Cup draw happened today. And in United States group is England, Iran, and they have to play the winner, or they will be playing the winner of the Euro play-in, which involves Scotland versus Ukraine, and whoever wins that plays Wales. Number one, I'm not a fan of the play-in shit. I don't like it. I don't like any of the play-in stuff. It's just a way for get more countries involved. It's similar to the way, NBA and stuff does play-in games and shit like that. And MLB does play-in games. I guess it makes for fun suspense. It's an automatic knockout game, but it's kind of stupid. I never like playing games. Do your job in the qualifiers and get in, but it's going on everywhere with the playing shit. But so my analysis here, England's going to be tough. They're always tough. They're one of the best teams in the planet. If I'm not mistaken, defending champions from 2018. That's how much I paid attention lately. But they're really good. They're always really good. And back in 2010, the United States squeaked a goal by against England and had a 1-1 draw in groups. An embarrassing goal, too, because it was a soft touch by Clint Dempsey that went through the hands of Robert Green, which was the goalkeeper at the time, and it dribbled in. It was honestly like a lower level 6-year-olds playing type of goal. It was a bad goal given up by England. But United States hung tough, held on to a 1-1 draw, and the rest is history with that World Cup. But they're not going to forget that. It's now 12 years later. Don't think England has forgotten that. So they're in a group with England, who's pissed at the United States, going to try and run the score up on them. They also have Iran, like I said. Iran is a good Middle Eastern team. They can beat the United States. The United States should make it out of this group. I'm not saying that they shouldn't be one of the top two to make it out. Iran can beat them. Any given day, Iran can beat them. They shouldn't. Costa Rica shouldn't have beaten them either. But Iran can beat them. And then you have Scotland versus Ukraine or Wales. The team that I want out of there is Scotland. Scotland is the easiest one, the best matchup. Ukraine scares the shit out of me. That's a good team there. I know with the war going on in Ukraine, their heads are going to be in a different place, or they might just play tougher. But Ukraine is typically a pretty good side. And Wales isn't bad either. I wouldn't want to see Wales. I don't want to see either of those three. Either of those three, all again, are capable of beating the United States. There isn't a pushover team here. There are teams that the United States are expected to beat, but there are no pushover teams. So the United States is going to have to do some work to get out of this group. It's not going to be easy. Before I'm wrong, let me look up the research. 2018 World Cup winner. Let's see. Was I right? Is it? No, it was France. What the fuck is wrong with me? It's not England. Wow. People rip me for that. France won the World Cup. What is wrong? I don't even think England went far in that one. All right. I'm a moron. I apologize for that. But there you go. France won 4 years ago. Anyway, but that's all I have to say with the World Cup going on there. United States is going to have a tough draw. So let's just hope, if you're a patriot, hopefully you cheer for the United States to go far. And hopefully you want them to win and go as far as they can, make it as far as they can, and maybe win it all. Who knows? We're not going to win it all, but who knows? Anyone could dream, right? All right, jumping into some politics here. There is some big news that happened 2 days ago that has nice and quietly been, neatly swept under the rug because, why should we report on things when it involves Hillary Clinton and negative, right? Why? Why should we ever do that? So 2 days ago, the FEC, the Federal Election Commission, fined the Hillary Clinton campaign, which by extension, Hillary Clinton, and the DNC, the Democratic National Committee. They were fined over finances that were funneled to fund the Steele Dossier. Now, let's go back and talk about the Steele Dossier here. The Steele Dossier was a false dossier gathered by a British spy agent, whatever, Christopher Steele, that he made up shit, quite literally made up shit to use against Donald Trump in the 2016 election. Ties to the Russian people, ties to Kremlin, all these types of things that he said that have prevailed today, that people use today and talk about today, that the FBI used to start a wiretap against the Trump campaign, to start an investigation into Carter Page, who was an advisor on the Trump campaign, and then used multiple times later to still try and investigate Trump while he was president. So think of the gravity of this. It's been talked about, and it's one of those other stories that Snopes and all these other bullshit fact checkers have said is just, false. Or they've also, it's just crazy. The media this is another thing. Oh, this is just right-wing talking points. This isn't right, blah, blah, blah. And listen, Don't get me wrong. There are fucking right-wing talking points. There are left-wing talking points. The unfortunate part is whenever you hear a leftist or leftist media say right-wing talking point, it's probably true. That's the sad part. More than likely, it's true. And it's been proven over and over again. And this is another one. Proven that those two campaign, the campaign and the DNC, which all over conservative media, they were screaming about it to high heaven not too long after the dossier came out. There were investigations on the ground, looking shit up, figuring things out. They found out who Christopher Steele was. They found out in an interrogatory in Britain, he flat out admitted that nothing in there can be substantiated. But James Comey, FBI director at the time, used it as a quote unquote part of a wider mosaic. But when it's on a FISA, a FISA request, it needs to be true. They need to say they certify this information as true. Four times they went to the well using this dossier and certified it as true with the FISA courts to be able to spy on the Trump campaign and the Trump administration. So just think of the gravity there. Think of the gravity there of what is going on. There's a lot more to take in than just, slap on the hand, slap on the wrist. Fine, you did something wrong. Now, we're going to preface this. The fine is for probable cause that they did not disclose the finances that flowed into the dossier. They said that the money paid to Perkins Coie, which is a law firm, which is a huge Democratic law firm, a known law firm used by Democrats. It went to Fusion GPS, which is another firm that hired Christopher Steele to make the dossier. The Hillary campaign and the DNC to this day, even with that response, says that they filed correctly. They do not admit to any fault, and they didn't know about the contents of the dossier or that it was being gathered using that money. They're plausible deniability. But they still got fined. And the fine was essentially a settlement. It was a settlement by the campaign and the DNC. They're not admitting to any wrong, but they will pay a fine. I think it's $8,000 and $105,000 respectively. They will pay that fine just so this basically goes away. Now, most of the times, you don't pay a fine with something like this to just make it go away. No one's talking about this. No one even really remembered this was fucking going on. No one cared, honestly, at this point. It was over. It was just a right-wing talking point, but still. With this, it all but confirms that what was on there could have affected Hillary Clinton and the DNC more than just these little fines. So this is a big deal. This is a big deal. And the reason why it's a big deal, they must disclose any spending over $200 on a campaign. They failed to do so according to the FEC. They spent over $1 million combined on this dossier. And the thing is, it's a federal crime what these two did. It's not just, finance. It's not a big deal. It's a federal crime what they did. So it's a big deal that they swept this under the rug as always. It's Hillary Clinton, so they're not going to fucking say anything negative about her. And it's frustrating because this is a justification for a lot of the right-wing outlets that to high heaven from quite literally 2016, probably to 2018, 2019, were screaming about this and then just kind of went silent, especially after the 2020 election, because it was almost a moot point. But it's just bizarre that these types of things go on all the time. If you look for them, they go on all the time. These major outlets or things like that will admit that something that they called a quote unquote right-wing conspiracy was actually correct the whole time, but they just, do something really quick. It doesn't stay on their main homepage. You have to really, really look for it. And they never truly admit it. Because if you want some fun, go read the coverage of this. Go look up Hillary FEC fine. And look how CNN, Fox News, Axios Political, New York Post, etc., all the big ones, AP, report on this. Some of them are a little more straightforward. Axios is pretty straightforward. Not gonna lie. New York Post is definitely more on the right. Fox News is more on the right. But they're not as egregious with some shit. Where CNN is still trying to defend parts of it. Still trying to defend it away. Saying, bringing up shit that a bipartisan group found that there was Russian meddling in the thing. Like, it had nothing to do with the actual dossier. Nothing to do with this whole entire thing, but CNN felt the need to throw it in. It's a hack job. They're terrible. They're bad. There's a reason why layoffs are going on CNN Plus right now. They're hemorrhaging money. Discovery has realized they bought a shit product right now, and they have a lot of fixing to do. Discovery has a lot of work to do to turn CNN around. It's going to be tough, but have some fun. Go read a bunch of those and see how all of them cover it. So like I said, some of them are a little more straightforward. They give you a little more detail. You get all the detail by reading it all. So you want to read something from more the middle, the left, the right. Axios, to me, people might disagree. Axios is the most middle that you can find right now. They piss off both sides. If they piss off both sides, they're doing something right. And then go and read New York Post. New York Post is more right. Then go and read CNN. You'll get all the information from reading all those three, I promise. You'll actually know what's going on. So that's what's going on there. Hillary getting it swept under the rug. Hillary, if you need to know, I'm sorry. Don't kill me. I don't mean it. Don't kill me. I don't want to be another one on the Clinton hit list, but maybe I am already. But let's move on to the final topic, final little thing I want to talk about today. We're going to talk some baseball. Like I said, I'm going to give a little Yankees Mets talk. I am a Yankees fan, so I want to focus on them last because I like them more. But we'll talk some Mets because I always like talking down to delusional Mets fans. But before we get in, if you haven't been paying attention, the MLB has done some things. First off, I think people have already forgotten that there's a lockout, or there was a lockout for the longest time. I forget. I think it was 100-something day lockout. And I think everyone's already forgotten because spring ball started. We got a crazy period of flurry of signings coming in with free agency. And I think we all have short memories now. Everyone, I think, has already forgotten that there's a lockout, that there was a lockout, that there was a lockout. And it's really kind of funny just to see that we don't even mention it anymore. Like I said, spring training's underway. We're seeing spring training baseball games, which is great. And there have been some new rules implemented. There's a DH now in the National League starting this year. The runner is still going to be on second for extras, which is such a stupid fucking rule. And I have no idea what owners are cool with that. I really want to see what owners are cool with that because they suck. And also, we're going to see a different type of review style if you watch baseball games, where before it was kind of, which is the dumbest review thing I've ever seen in my life. I hate the way the baseball does reviews. I hope they change some of this, where if a coach wants to review, he holds his hands up and stops a whole fucking game, which is a slow enough game as it is. And the umpire sees him hold his hand up and he turns and waits and listens for one of his coaches to say whether or not he should challenge it. And if he does decide to challenge, the ump then goes over, gets on the phone, listens in New York, and then comes out and makes his call. Now, apparently what's going to change is that the ump is now going to go over to the mic and is going to kind of greet the crowd, explain what the challenge was. And then once the challenge is over, is then going to announce what the change is. It's a little bit different. I don't know how I feel about it. We all know baseball hand signals. If you watch baseball, you know what the hand signals mean. You know that a fist, if they just make a fist, that's out. You know, if he puts a finger and kind of swings it around, that's a home run. If he takes his arms and kind of brings them out to the side from his chest, that's safe. So I don't know if I'm really a fan of announcing this type of stuff. I don't know who needs that. I guess if they're trying to like play it up for like general casual fan, maybe. But I really don't know who needs that. I really don't. If you're an actual baseball fan, all you need is hand gestures. You grew up learning the hand gestures. You know exactly what they mean. It's unnecessary for it to be announced. I guess it's something they're messing with. I don't know if it's going to slow shit down. If it does, that's annoying. But we shall see. We shall see. You don't know until it's done. I think replay is still bad in all sports at this point. I don't want replay anymore, but it's here to stay, and I'm just an old man complaining about that. So let's talk a little bit of Mets right now. Let's start off with the Mets because, man, the Mets are already Metsing. So there was news today coming over from Jeff Passan, Jacob deGrom, which is one of the best pitchers in baseball, always a Cy Young threat, 20-win type of guy, great stuff, unbelievable pitcher. He'll miss significant time for the Mets with the stress reaction in his right shoulder. They didn't go into specifics what significant time is, but that's not good. With the Mets, they have these types of issues with players. So they went from having a very, very, really probably top group of starters between DeGrom, Max Scherzer, Chris Bassett, Taijuan Walker, and Carlos Carrasco to now kind of, it's so weird what happens when you lose your ace. Everything changes because your ace is quite literally it's your streak stopper. It's your guy that is going to give you a good 6-7 innings. You're more than likely to get the win than not there. So guys play a little different when their ace is around. But now that they don't have a true ace, I get it. Max Scherzer's there. Max Scherzer is not a spring chicken. He's not a guy you want carrying your whole rotation. So who steps up here? Who steps up? You look at some of the other guys that they've had playing. You have Tyler McGill is either going to step up in the fifth starter or David Peterson, more than likely, unless there's someone else out there. But that's a big question mark now. That hurts. That hurts the Mets. And they had a great rotation coming in. So that hurts. You look at their relievers. They have a good pen. Seth Lugo, Trevor May, Ottavino, Castro, Smith, to name a few. And then Edwin Diaz closing, who had a much nicer bounce back. Edwin Diaz is one of the best closers in baseball. So they still have some good pitching there. But man, DeGrom hurts. So I'm looking at the depth chart. I'm using ESPN to look at the depth chart here. So let's talk about their lineup that they have. James McCann at center, catcher. It's a good catcher. Pete Alonso is one of the best hitters in baseball. You'll love the polar bear there. Right behind him is an interesting case. Dominic Smith's right behind him. Dominic Smith had showed some promise. And things change now with the DH. So Dominic Smith has showed some promise. He definitely has been better since he came up as a rookie, where he was kind of out of shape. He was expected, but he's done a lot. You also have Jeff McNeil over in second. You need to have Jeff McNeil somewhere. The guy is a bona fide star. I really like Jeff McNeil. I'm high on Jeff McNeil. I'm not a Mets fan, but I really like Jeff McNeil. Third base, you have Eduardo Escobar. Eduardo Escobar is a guy that could bring some good power to this lineup as well. That is a good power bat. That is a close to 30 home run guy a year. I think he had 35 one year, 28 last year. Not a good average guy. 250 career, decent. High strikeouts, which is kind of the par for the course. I hate strikeout or bust guys, but kind of par for the course where you're going to get. Over at shortstop, Francisco Lindor. Lindor is the centerpiece of this team. They will go as far as Lindor's bat takes them unless there is a surprise. Over in left, Mark Canha. Mark Canha is he's a nice player. I don't know if I'm confident going out with Mark Canha in left as a starter. You have Dominic Smith as a left fielder that could play there. I don't know if he eventually takes over. We'll see. Brandon Nimmo in center field. Nimmo's kind of just been a mainstay and a favorite for the Mets. It's going to be difficult for them to ever move on from Brandon Nimmo. So he's a guy that's there. Starling Marte is a very nice pickup that the Mets have now. Marte is a very good player, and he's another guy they're going to rely on with his bat. Now, DH, again, is new in the NL, so it's different. People forget they have Robinson Cano, backup second base for Jeff McNeil. He's probably going to slot in as their dominant DH. I mentioned Dominic Smith there. Another interesting name that has gotten thrown to the wayside, J.D. Davis. Where does J.D. Davis fit on this roster? The guy is a great bat. He really is. Some injuries have kind of put him in the back burner, but where does J.D. Davis fit? The Mets are a mystery. They really are, because you have to figure out what is this? How does this team click? What do they do? Because you look on paper, every year you could do this with the Mets. And if you listen to WFAN, you look on paper and it's actually a pretty good team. But we'll see where injuries happen. Injuries happen to every team, so it's not just the Mets. We'll see what happens with injuries. But then we'll just see, I don't know, it's something about chemistry. The Mets are going to need to find some chemistry and lineup cohesion. It's going to be interesting. I don't have a ton to say about the Mets besides just looking at them on paper. Curious about J.D. Davis. Curious about Robinson Cano in the DH, if he could find some more pop. Where they're going to fit Dominic Smith is also interesting. How left field's going to work out. It's it's gonna be a fun to watch the Mets, and they have the ability to be a good team. They really do. It's tough being in there with the Atlanta Braves, the defending champions, but the Braves did lose Freddie Freeman, which is a huge, huge hit. So who knows? But the Mets could be interesting. We'll see if they could weather the loss of Jacob deGrom for whatever significant time is, and if they could figure some stuff out. But they're an interesting team this year. I don't know if they're necessarily going to be bad, but there is the joke that I always say about the Mets. They're great up until All-Star break, and then they always fucking either go all the way down or they skyrocket and they're a World Series team. There's kind of no in between. Either they become awful or they go and they contend for the World Series. So we'll see. We'll see what the Mets become. I'm going to jump over to my favorite team now, the Yankees. And although they're my favorite team, that doesn't mean that I'm going to speak highly of them, because I'm not. Because I think, like all Yankees fans, I'm not happy with the offseason. I'm not happy with our biggest freaking signing being Tim LeCastro. I'm not happy with bringing in Josh Donaldson and Isaiah Kindler-Falefa as, I probably butchered the last name, Falefa, as the biggest guys in a trade with getting rid of Gary Sanchez and Gio Urshela. I can't say that I'm super happy with the group that we brought back. Like I said with the Mets, I am not a big home run or bust guy. And we have a ton of it. And we have a logjam in the infield that I don't know if we're going to figure out or how we're going to figure it out. So let's go over this. Garrett Cole's the ace. Garrett Cole's a very, very good ace. We'll see. He struggled last year a little bit in the middle when they did the substances stuff, and then he kind of regained it. We'll see. The man has a chip on his shoulder. He wants to come back and prove he's one of the best pitchers in baseball. Then we have Luis Severino coming back off an injury. We have Jordan Montgomery slotting in there, Jameson Taillon coming back, Nestor Cortez, which is a favorite, and then somewhere slotting in here, Domingo Herman is going to be somewhere in there. And then if you look at the relief, Jonathan Loaisiga, who came out as a fucking rocket last year and was fantastic. Chad Green, Clay Holmes, who shows a lot of promise as a player, as a pitcher. I think Clay Holmes can be something that is going to jump up, and Yankee fans will really like him. Wandy Peralta's there, and then Joely Rodriguez are kind of rounding out the big relief pitchers there. The pen is not what it used to be, everybody. This isn't the vaunted Yankees pen with the beginning of the baby bombers where you get through 5 and then they just win through 6, 7, 8. Like, all you need to do is the starters get through 5 and then 6 through 9, they got it. This isn't that group. So we'll see how they come. The starters are going to have to be better. The starters are going to have to give us more than 5 this year. I think six innings needs to be the number at minimum. Garrett Cole's got to go deep. Severino, if he's healthy, he's got to go deep. You need to get 6, 7 out of those guys. The pen's going to need some rest this year. It's not the same pen. And then we have Aroldis Chapman coming back as closer, who's had his hiccups. He's had his problems. He is not a bona fide closer that he was. He is a question mark, which is pretty bizarre. But he is a question mark. So let's go down with the actual lineup. Kyle Higashioka right now is going to start at catcher for the Yankees. There is Ben Wortvet, I think that's how you say it, his name, Wortvet, who's also there. But right now it looks like Higgy is going to get the start. I see people saying because Higgy has hit 5 home runs in spring, he's going to get 25 home runs. Joke or not, please stop fucking saying that. Kyle Higashioka should not start for the Yankees. They need to do something. Whether they really believe in Wortvet and he's going to come and he's going to take over, we'll see what goes on. But man, if we roll into the season as Higgy as our everyday catcher, we're in trouble. He's better defensively, but that's just a quick out. We might as well bat the pitcher. He is not a good bat. Keep going. First base, Anthony Rizzo. We brought him back. Riz was a good player at one time, a very good player. Riz is not the same Anthony Rizzo. He's a left-handed bat. That's nice. Second gets really interesting because on this depth chart, they have DJ LeMahieu. And behind him, Gleyber Torres. Who the fuck knows? Honestly, who knows how that's going to go? Because at third base, you have Josh Donaldson. And at shortstop, you have Isaiah Kindler-Falefa. Now, DJ LeMahieu can back up and play first, second, third, and he can also play in the outfield if necessary. DJ LeMahieu is a batting champion. He's, in my eyes, the best hitter on this team. If you really think about it, they're going to go Rizzo at first. They're going to go Josh Donaldson at third. They're going to obviously play Kinder Falefa over at shortstop. I really think the team might go Gleyber Torres at second base. So where the fuck does DJ LeMahieu fit? DJ LeMahieu needs to play every day. He needs to play every day. If it's up to me, this depth chart stays the way it is, and Gleyber Torres is a backup. As good of a spring as he has, as young as he has, as many fans love Gleyber, DJ LeMahieu is a better baseball player at this point. There's nothing else to say. If you want to win a championship now, you can't go with the developing guy that still is developing all these years later. I get it. Gleyber's young, but he has not been the guy that we thought he was going to be. And DJ LeMahieu, we know what he is. We know he's very good, and we need to keep him playing all the time. So that's a question mark that annoys me in there. They did not answer well enough to me. They did not answer that well enough. They got rid of it a little bit, getting rid of Gio, but they didn't do a good enough job really releasing this logjam. So I don't know what's going to go on here. And then we forget Miguel Andujar hanging out as a backup third baseman over here, and also can play a little left field. So Miguel Andujar might figure something in because his bat is very good still. Let's go into the outfield. Joey Gallo, Aaron Hicks, Aaron Judge over in left center and right field. And then DH, Giancarlo Stanton, Aaron Judge, Gallo, Donaldson, Riz, DJ LeMahieu, whatever. They have so many power bats to put at DH. So here's my problem. You brought back Joey Gallo. Joey Gallo is the definition of strikeout or home run. I get it. The shift fucks it because he's a pull hitter. I get it. But man, you got to adjust. You can't just blame it on the shift. You got to adjust a little. And he honestly is not a contact guy. A lot of people are like, wow, if there wasn't a shift, he'd have a much higher batting average with doubles and stuff. That's your prediction, number one. Number two, he's still not adjusting. He's still a high strikeout guy, extremely high. He's led the league in strikeouts before. And then you bring in Aaron Judge, who also is an extremely high strikeout guy. And then you give me Giancarlo Stanton in that lineup, also an extremely high strikeout guy. And then you have Aaron Hicks there. Aaron Hicks always gets hurt. There's nothing Aaron Hicks. I see Aaron Hicks' name there, but I automatically cross him out until proven otherwise. I can't count on Aaron Hicks. The guy's talented. He's an extremely good fielder, like Gold Glove center fielder. And he's a very timely hitter, a contact hitter. He's a guy I would love in this lineup if he could stay there. But he can't. So unfortunately, we're going to see a lot of Tim LeCastro probably this year. And I don't want to see a lot of Tim LeCastro. I don't. So if you could tell by my tenor, I'm not very happy with this Yankees team. I don't see a good baseball team here. I see maybe a 91-win team, a 94-win team. I don't see a 100-win team. I don't see a championship contending team. There's a lot of big names, a lot of names that people know, but there's a lot of strikeouts. There's a lot of streakiness. There's, very little contact. I'm not happy with it. I'm ultimately not happy. I'm not high on the Yankees. I need a reason to be high on the Yankees, and I'm not high. And I'm not going to be able to give my opinion until about 30 games into the season, usually is when I start to really formulate my opinion on a team. Obviously, I'll overreact if they start getting shellacked early on, or even if they come out and they're just world beaters the first 30 games, I'll be high, I'll be low. Normal fandom stuff. But to really formulate my opinion and really develop what I think is going to go on, I need at least 30 games, at least, because the baseball season is long as hell. And you don't know much early on. So we'll see. I'm not really high on the Yankees, not gonna lie. And I don't like the way the front office treated this offseason when they were able to spend, when they had time to spend, and they just didn't. They lost out on some guys. So we'll see. We'll see what goes on this season. Hopefully I'm proven wrong. But that's my opinion on the Yankees. Hopefully you didn't come in here hoping for good news, because I'm a Debbie Downer when it comes to them. But that's what it is there. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to the show. Like, share, follow, subscribe, rate 5 stars on iTunes and Spotify. And spread this word of mouth if you like what you heard on socials. Go search The Alex Cuesta Show, and you'll find us anywhere on there. Like I said, it's Friday, so I hope everybody has a great weekend. Hopefully, no more stomach bugs come and take me over, and I'll be back on Monday to do another show. Everybody, have a good one, y'all.